CMEO Innotech is an educational technology and innovation organization dedicated to providing innovative and technology-oriented learning services, research-based solutions, information sharing, and knowledge management to enable the education community in Southeast Asia to respond effectively to current and emerging needs and concerns. CMEO Innotech is an educational technology and innovation organization that serves as a training hub for capacity building, educational research, and knowledge management, and is committed to creating a better future and learning environment for learners. The center is committed to being a major player and agenda setter in the region to ensure that a better, brighter, and more promising future awaits every learner in the region, whenever, wherever, and whichever way learning takes place. CMEO Innotech is one of the 26 centers of CMEO. This chartered regional intergovernmental organization aims to promote regional cooperation in education, science, and culture among Southeast Asian nations. In January 1970, the CMEO Regional Center for Educational Innovation and Technology, also known since then as CMEO Innotech, was established as one of the regional centers of CMEO when a council approved its first 5-year plan and interim plans of operations. It had moved from one member country to another until it found its permanent home in Diliman, Quezon City, Philippines on July 1, 1981. CMEO Innotech's mission is to provide innovative and technology-oriented learning services, research-based solutions, information sharing, and knowledge management to enable the education community in Southeast Asia to effectively respond to current and emerging needs and concerns, guided by the center's vision to realize a better future for every Southeast Asian learner. Under the center's capacity building programs, CMEO Innotech was able to train 123,490 education personnel in Southeast Asia for the past 10 years. In partnership with the Teacher Council of Thailand, the center was able to develop the Southeast Asian Teacher and School Head Competency Frameworks that served as the basis for training interventions and capacity building programs for the region. For 54 years, the center has been mandated to help the Southeast Asian education community address educational issues and concerns using appropriate technologies and innovations. CMEO Innotech achieves this through the implementation of its various programs and projects, namely capacity building for teachers, school heads, and other education personnel, research and development in educational innovation and technology, networking and collaboration among Southeast Asian institutions and organizations, knowledge sharing and promotion of best practices.
We would like to express our appreciation for CMEO Innotech for its continuous partnership with the Department of Education in giving trainings for our teachers, for our school heads, and for our supervisors. And we are always happy to hear good stories from our teacher participants of the CMEO training, and they are always glad to share with us the practices that have been shared with them by other participants from other parts of the country. They always benefit from all these practices, and the trainings given by CMEO Innotech is a good benchmark for all our schools and all our teacher participants from DepEd Region 1.
So partnership is really the key in this innovation, in which we would also like to thank the CMEO Innotech, because CMEO Innotech gave us the platform to share and to be known by most of the people, not only in the Philippines but in Southeast Asia.
Teach On, keeping the passion alive. Participating in the massive open online courses serve as a platform for lifelong learning, intellectual growth, and exploration. It provided me with the perfect blend of flexibility and diverse knowledge about digital literacy, providing me with fresh perspective, full of potential, and acquisition of new knowledge.
Inspired by our upcoming 55th anniversary and motivated by our 10th FYDP, we at Simeo Innotech are all geared up to fulfill our commitment to bring about solutions to educational needs in the region, no matter the transformations, no matter the challenges. We are confident that we will once again weather current crises and changes and emerge a better, wiser, more responsive, and more innovative organization in the service of our education stakeholders. From learners, teachers, school heads, to education officials, all the way up to the highest education policymakers. We at Simeo Innotech remain unremitting in our commitment to provide a better future for every learner in Southeast Asia for 50 more years and beyond.
The webinar will start at exactly 1 p.m.
Simeo Innotech is an educational technology and innovation organization dedicated to providing innovative and technology-oriented learning services, research-based solutions, information sharing, and knowledge management to enable the education community in Southeast Asia to respond effectively to current and emerging needs and concerns. Simeo Innotech is an educational technology and innovation organization that serves as a training hub for capacity building, educational research, and knowledge management, and is committed to creating a better future and learning environment for learners. The center is committed to being a major player and agenda setter in the region to ensure that a better, brighter, and more promising future awaits every learner in the region, whenever, wherever, and whichever way learning takes place. Simeo Innotech is one of the 26 centers of Simeo. This chartered regional intergovernmental organization aims to promote regional cooperation in education, science, and culture among Southeast Asian nations. In January 1970, the Simeo Regional Center for Educational Innovation and Technology, also known since then as Simeo Innotech, was established as one of the regional centers of Simeo when the Council approved its first 5-year plan and interim plans of operations. It had moved from one member country to another until it found its permanent home in Diliman, Quezon City, Philippines on July 1, 1981. Simeo Innotech's mission is to provide innovative and technology-oriented learning services, research-based solutions, information sharing, and knowledge management to enable the education community in Southeast Asia to effectively respond to current and emerging needs and concerns, guided by the center's vision to realize a better future for every Southeast Asian learner. Under the center's capacity building programs, Simeo Innotech was able to train 123,490 education personnel in Southeast Asia for the past 10 years. In partnership with the Teacher Council of Thailand, the center was able to develop the Southeast Asian Teacher and School Head Competency Frameworks that served as the basis for training interventions and capacity building programs for the region. For 54 years, the center has been mandated to help the Southeast Asian education community address educational issues and concerns using appropriate technologies and innovations. Simeo Innotech achieves this through the implementation of its various programs and projects, namely capacity building for teachers, school heads, and other education personnel, research and development in educational innovation and technology, networking and collaboration among Southeast Asian institutions and organizations, knowledge sharing and promotion of best practices.
We would like to express our appreciation for Simeo Innotech for its continuous partnership with the Department of Education in giving trainings for our teachers, for our school heads, and for our supervisors. And we are always happy to hear good stories from our teacher participants of the Simeo training, and they are always glad to share with us the practices that have been shared with them by other participants from other parts of the country. They always benefit from all these practices, and the trainings given by Simeo Innotech is a good benchmark for all our schools and all our teacher participants from DepEd Region 1.
So partnership is really the key in this innovation, in which we would also like to thank the Simeo Innotech, because Simeo Innotech gave us the platform to share and to be known by most of the people, not only in the Philippines but in Southeast Asia.
Teach On, keeping the passion alive. Participating in the massive open online courses serve as a platform for lifelong learning, intellectual growth, and exploration. It provided me with the perfect blend of flexibility and diverse knowledge about digital literacy, providing me with fresh perspective, full of potential, and acquisition of new knowledge.
Inspired by our upcoming 55th anniversary and motivated by our 10th FYDP, We at Simeo Innotech are all geared up to fulfill our commitment to bring about solutions to educational needs in the region, no matter the transformations, no matter the challenges. We are confident that we will once again weather current crises and changes and emerge a better, wiser, more responsive, and more innovative organization in the service of our education stakeholders. From learners, teachers, school heads, to education officials, all the way up to the highest education policy makers. We at Simeo Innotech remain unremitting in our commitment to provide a better future for every learner in Southeast Asia for 50 more years and beyond.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Fostering the I in AI, exploring modern tools for AI in education. So, I am Ivy Francisco, and I will be your host for today. So, welcome to our viewers joining us from the Philippines, Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, Oman, Guatemala, and North Cyprus, and all around the world, live via Facebook and YouTube. Your participation enriches our discussions and reflects our shared commitment to advancing educational technology. Artificial intelligence is not just a technological innovation. It's a transformative force reshaping industries and societies worldwide. AI holds the promise of enhancing teaching methods, adapting to diverse learning styles, and preparing students for the challenges of tomorrow's workforce. In light of this, Simeo Innotech created the knowledge-sharing series called Fostering the I in AI to explore the potentiality of how AI can further enhance, develop, and change the educational landscape. We've begun with a webinar on unlocking the potential of AI in education, and we continued with a forum where experts from various fields discussed how we can prepare for an AI-assisted world. Today, we embark on an exploration of AI, tools that could revolutionize education and personalize learning experiences for students. So without further delay, it is my privilege to introduce our first speaker. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Cochacorn Catapan Asidre, the Center Deputy Director of Simeo Innotech.
Good afternoon, esteemed participants. On behalf of Simeo Innotech, I am thrilled to be here and welcome you to the third in the series activities, Exploring Modern Tools for Artificial Intelligence in Education. Let us embark on the journey of discovery and innovation in the field of artificial intelligence in education together. The artificial intelligence holds tremendous promise to transform education and learning. And today, we gather here to explore how modern AI tools can empower educators, enhance teaching and learning experiences, and ultimately improve educational outcomes for students across various levels. Throughout our time today, we will address critical questions concerning the functionalities and application of AI tools in education, ethical consideration in the integration, and the future trends that promise to shape the landscape of AI in education. I encourage each and every one of you to actively engage in our discussion, share your perspective, and contribute to our collective understanding through our communication channels of Simeo Innotech. Let us explore the future trends and innovation in AI for education, paving the way for enhanced learning outcomes and equitable access to quality education for all. Once again, welcome to the webinar on exploring modern tools for artificial intelligence in education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cochacorn Catapan Asidre, for those inspiring words. Now we've officially opened the program, we are excited to dive into the heart of today's event, the AI Showcasing. So our first presentation will feature Microsoft, a leader in technological innovation in education. We're thrilled to welcome the Senior Industry Advisor for Education of the ASEAN and Microsoft Philippines, who will share their insight into how Microsoft's AI tools can empower educators and enhance learning experiences. Let's turn our attention to the screen and welcome Ms. Clarissa Segismundo.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
All right, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon to all the participants of today's event. On behalf of Microsoft, I would like to thank Simeo Innotech for inviting Microsoft to be part of this event. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will be sharing with you some of the tools that are available to all our teachers and school leaders using Microsoft technology. And I'm really excited to allow you to see how AI can change how we all teach and how the students can learn. But before that, I'd like to, start with this. The world is really changing today. So obviously, since the pandemic, we have witnessed how education has transformed. We have all witnessed how students and teachers have been impacted by it and how the future of work is evolving. And at the forefront of it is technology. Having worked at Microsoft for quite some time, I've seen how things have really evolved and how technology has contributed to the digital acceleration since the pandemic. Let's take a moment to consider the challenges that are faced by our educators today, by the school leaders, and by our educators. So, from the decline in literacy and numeracy, specifically in reading, fluency, and math, if you look at our PISA performance, right? Being specific to that. Um, there's also a big concern on the emotional well-being of our students and making education also more equitable for everybody and coming up with programs and working on the curriculum to make sure that our students are future ready. So how do we address that? And with all the changes that have been happening, um, is it possible that all these things can be addressed? When we look at the availability of AI, a lot of teachers and even parents have this big question mark, right? Like, is AI really there to help, or um, should we be scared of AI? When we did the work trend, according to the work trend index and facing the education audience, this is what the survey said. 72% struggle with having enough time in the day to get work done. A lot of administrative work and a lot of manual work were actually being done by the teachers and by the administrators. 77% would use AI if it helped preserve their energy levels during the workday so they could do more. And 56% are concerned there's a big learning curve to use AI in their work. I want to show you one of the AI powered tools that is available to our teachers, school leaders, parents, and students. And this is part of Teams, Office 365, and Microsoft 365. If we have DepEd teachers and administrators in this call, good news is you have access to this because DepEd has a countrywide license agreement where all teachers and all students have access to Office 365 licenses. And these AI tools that I will be showing you are part of it. Now, let's go to Reading Progress. What is Reading Progress? It's a free tool, again, it's AI powered, that's built into Microsoft Teams, designed to measure and support the reading fluency of the learner. Meaning to say, this app can measure and track the reading accuracy rate of the learner. It tells the teacher the words that were mispronounced, the words that were omitted, the words that were added in the passage that the teacher is giving to the learner. In other words, hindi na kailangan manually done, diba? AI is already giving insights to the teachers on these things that needed to be improved by the learner so that the teacher can come up with a more personalized learning plan for the student. Reading Coach, on the other hand, is a feature in Microsoft Teams that provides personalized and independent reading practice for students. This is for students naman. So if a student, we've had instances where the student is really shy, right? And anxious to read in front of the class. More so if the words that were being read by the learner is not correct, right? So they get anxious because they don't want to commit mistakes in front of their in front of their classmates, and sometimes it's embarrassing that the teacher is always correcting you. With Reading Coach, it allows the student to practice independent reading, and Reading Coach actually provides real-time feedback to the student on how to pronounce the words correctly. Let me show you a quick demo on how these tools work. And I'm delighted to introduce one of our Microsoft Innovative Educator Experts, or MIEE. Her name is Miss Aliza Nicole Habana, or known as Miss Ali, and she's an English teacher at the National University Nazareth, a Microsoft Showcase School. So, NU Nazareth has already implemented Reading Progress and Reading Coach for their students in grades 1 to 11 across English, reading, and oral communication. So here is the recorded demo by Miss Ali.
Reading Progress is one of the tools that we find helpful in improving the students' fluency and developing the love and habit for reading. This is also convenient for us teachers because it takes a few minutes to create this assignment, and it helps us provide a personalized learning. By importing Word or PDF, we can browse sample library or generate a reading passage based on our chosen topic. We can also let the AI generate questions for us so that we can use in our reading comprehension check. For instance, this. I chose this topic, epidemiology, because my students are from the STEM strand, from the science.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back there.
Reading Progress is love
Let me
and habit for
just a minute.
fluency and developing the love and habit for reading. This is also convenient for us teachers because it takes a few minutes to create this assignment, and it helps us provide a personalized learning. By importing Word or PDF, we can browse sample library or generate a reading passage based on our chosen topic. We can also let the AI generate questions for us so that we can use in our reading comprehension check. For instance, this. I chose this topic, epidemiology, because my students are from the STEM strand, from the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And once the student has turned in his or her work, we can already see results. It provides accuracy rate, expression rate, and comprehension score. We can even provide full report to our students. Here we can also see correct words per minute and those words that were challenging for our students. Because of this, we can provide immediate feedback and on-time remediation. And since the implementation of the reading progress, we saw that the students have been improving in terms of fluency and in terms of communication. And also, likewise, our struggling readers have improved. We have now the independent readers and fluent readers. And because of the reading progress, reading progress makes reading looks easy and fun for our students.
Thank you, Miss Ali. Now, I'd like to show you how Reading Coach works. Let's go to our next slide.
Reading Progress is one of the tools.
Reading Coach is part of the reading progress that helps students practice those 5 challenging words that they have encountered. These are the words that they struggled the most with while reading the text. And Reading Coach has tools that can aid students in practicing them independently. For instance,
when you're ready, press the microphone and read the word out loud. Donatello's.
Donatello's. Our students can use the text-to-speech, syllable breaking, and the picture dictionary.
Had.
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 Had. Had.
Great.
Through the reading coach, our students were able to develop and expand their vocabulary. They were able to develop awareness on the enunciation of those words. And the good side of this is that they do not feel embarrassed that they were corrected. They do not feel embarrassed because they do it independently and according on their own pace. Because of this, students were motivated also to learn new words, to practice these words because they earn badges that reward their efforts, and they see their fluency and pronunciation improvements in the progress. Reading coach is part of the reading progress that.
So thank you so much, Miss Ali. Again, for to all our listeners, our teachers and school leaders, Reading Coach and Reading Progress are built-in tools in Microsoft 365 and they're part of Microsoft Teams. So if we have our teachers in DepEd here, if you haven't activated your Office 365 accounts yet, please reach out to your designated school ICT officer to get your to activate your Office 365 email address and accounts and access all these learning accelerators, which I've already presented. One of which I've presented are Reading Progress and Reading Coach. What are the other learning accelerators that are available? We also have Math Progress and Math Coach, which measures the fluency in math of our learners. We have Microsoft Reflect, which gauges the emotional well-being of our students when they check in the classroom. Speaker Coach and Speaker Progress are good presentation aid, which gives us real-time. This is also for teachers and students, which gives us real-time feedback on how we're presenting the words that we have pronounced, our pacing, and it coaches us to be better communicators and presenters. And of course, we have Search Progress and Search Coach, which aids us in prompting and coming up with smarter searches in the web, and education insights, which are really valuable insights given to educators and school leaders. So having shared all of these, again, learning accelerators are part of Office 365. These tools help streamline the creation, review, and analysis of practice assignments while providing students real-time coaching along the way to help them catch up and keep up. Learning accelerators are part of the entire M365 or Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So this slide shows how learning accelerators fit in the larger ecosystem that we have in Microsoft. On the first portion, you see the learning accelerators, which target the learner's foundational, future-ready, and analytical skills. But then supporting that are the instructional tools that almost everyone are familiar with, right? We have Teams, we have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Microsoft Forms, Stream, Whiteboard, there's Minecraft in Education, there's Flipgrid, and Clipchamp. They are also supportive of accessible learning because the learning accelerators are then powered by various assistive technologies like the immersive reader, translator, narrator, voice typing, and live captioning. And obviously under that are the core components, which obviously all these tools run on Windows 11 and Windows education devices. Now, I want to do a very quick demo of Copilot. Copilot is another AI tool that's that's an add-in to Microsoft 365. Okay. I want to show you how Copilot works. Let me just share my desktop. All right. Okay, just a minute. So right now I'm sharing my screen. You see, in Microsoft Word, I have Copilot. Copilot is part of all the applications that I'm using in my productivity tools. So I can just ask Copilot to create a lesson guide on how to prepare a marketing plan because I have lots of things to do. Say I'm a teacher, I have lots of things to do this week and I needed more time, but I don't have all the time. I know how to deliver it, but the processes and the how part, it's gonna take so much of my time. So Copilot, please help me do this. So it's creating a draft. So there you go. So as you can see, it's getting the information from different sources in the web and probably in what I have in my files that puts all of these together. I can even request Copilot to include the latest industry trends or some insights from some survey, right? So this is it. So here you see this is what Copilot has given me so far. Okay, so let's see. So 2, 3, maybe it might stop probably there. So it's like a 3-page draft on how to create a marketing plan. So it ended with the conclusion. Now, what if after a few days, so I've saved this, right? So let's say I save this, save as. I'm gonna save this in my desktop. Okay, how to create a marketing plan. Okay. So I've saved this already. Okay, then I exit. Now, after a few weeks or after a few days, I don't remember where I put my marketing plan. And so I'm going to go to Copilot for Work, which is part of Microsoft Bing. And I will ask Copilot to help me find the file on how to prepare a marketing plan. And I probably have received several files on how to prepare a marketing plan. It could be in my email. I could have stored it in OneDrive. I could have stored it in one of the folders or in a shared drive. So if I ask Copilot to do this for me, let's see if Copilot can find this specific file in my drive. There you go. So I open this. And this is what I've created earlier on, right? I requested Copilot to draft for me. Now, reading through the document, I realized, what about if, say, on the lesson content, I want it to be done in table format. And it's hard because, I have to insert by the tables, etc. I could just do this. See, up to here. Oops. Hold on. Let me start again. So I could do this up to here. Ask Copilot to visualize as a table. Let's see. Keep it. So this actually, ladies and gentlemen, saved me a lot of time. In less than, 1 minute, Copilot was able to rewrite this in a table format. And I could just, edit and save it again, right? Now, how about, now that I have this in Word file, I have the outline, I wanted it to be converted into a PowerPoint deck because I will be presenting, I want to deliver this in PowerPoint format. So I go to PowerPoint. See, there's Copilot embedded as well in PowerPoint. And I can just create a presentation from, let's see, here, how to prepare marketing plan. So it's there already from Word. I am asking help from Copilot to draft me a deck about how to prepare a marketing plan. So there it's going to draft the outline first, and then later on, it will, let's see, fingers crossed, if Copilot will be able to create a PowerPoint deck from my Word file. Oops. It is even adding speaker notes. Okay. There you go. So now I have a 7-slide deck on how to create a marketing plan, which I can now deliver to my class. So I think it's still, yeah, there you go. It also has speaker notes that we can use as a guide, right? And then you can just customize. Again, this is Copilot, meaning to say it's not the AI who's doing everything for you. The AI is our Copilot. End of the day, it still boils down to the one who's requesting for it, and depends on the prompts that we're asking, depends on what we want AI to do for us. That's the outcome that we're getting. All right, so that's a quick demo on Copilot. Now let me go back to here a minute. So I hope you were able to appreciate a quick demo of Copilot. If you want to know more about this or a more detailed presentation, you may send me a note or connect with me through LinkedIn. At Microsoft, so again, you've seen some of the tools. Some of the tools that we have, from the learning accelerators to Copilot. And at Microsoft, we are committed to creating responsible AI by design. We are guided by these principles: being fair, having a reliable and safe platform, valuing privacy and security, making sure that we are inclusive, and having a sense of transparency and accountability to all the technologies that are being used by our customers and our partners. For our teachers here, if you want to be trained on AI, please go to MS Learn. So this is the link, aka.ms/AI for educators. This is free, and the platform is MS Learn. There are thousands of courses that you can take that is very focused on AI for teaching and learning. One of it is AI for educators, but if you also want to know more about reading progress or reading coach or math progress and math coach, there are also trainings available in MS Learn. Good news also is for every training that you complete, you are able to earn a badge. These are competency badges, and that can be part of your online credentials on LinkedIn. That's shareable in LinkedIn. There are also thousands of learning pathways and certification pathways for those who are interested to take those micro credentialing courses. They are for free. The content is free, and the exam vouchers can be purchased through our learning partners. So thank you again for sharing this moment with me. Thank you for having Microsoft here. I'd love to hear from you and understand how Microsoft can support you in your AI journey. So please, let's connect. That's my email address, and you may find me on LinkedIn. Thank you again, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Ms. Clarissa and Ms. Ali, for showcasing the learning accelerators and the co-pilot of Microsoft 365. So, hi again, everyone. I hope you learned a lot from the presentation from Ms. Clarissa and Ms. Ali a while ago. So, let us know which tool you are excited to try by typing it in the comments section. So personally, I would like to try Copilot because I have seen it on the web browser or on Edge, but I never knew that it can actually make me some presentations. And I think that would save me a lot of time, even if I'm not in the education sector, even if I use it for work. I think it's highly efficient. So we're interested in finding out which of these applications you liked best. So please type it down in the comment section. So we now invite Mr. Francis Jim Toscano, GS EdTech Coordinator of Xavier School and co-founder of TagPros Education, to showcase Gabay, the AI teaching sidekick for Filipino educators.
I'm here to share to you um, and showcase to you the capabilities of Gabay, our AI platform, and do a short demo for everyone to see. Let me just start my session with um, some information about Gabay. So if you can see, the goal of Gabay is really to make sure that our teacher are empowered. So I think my friends, my colleagues have already explain to everyone that the Gabay is a teacher sidekick, and it is a sidekick for all Filipino teachers. So let's get to know our own powerful sidekick. Gabay, like what my colleagues have mentioned, and you might have heard already, Gab AI, it's pronounced as Gabay, which is also the Filipino word for guide. It's an AI-powered teaching assistant designed to help teachers in their teaching tasks, automating work such as designing lesson plans, assessments, and rubrics that are aligned to the DepEd Matatag curriculum. Or if you have special other curricula, we can also work with those. Gabay, we are proud at TagPros because we have made sure that Gabay help teachers provide feedback that promotes growth mindset and even create social emotional learning activities for a holistic learning. So while we focus on lesson planning and assessments, we are also capable of helping teachers in promoting growth mindset when they give feedback and creating social emotional learning activities and even touching differentiated learning and differentiated approach and personalized learning. Our core mission is to really empower teachers, making teachers more efficient in their work, reducing their teaching and administrative tasks, so that this reduction would allow you teachers to focus more on meaningful student interactions and effective teaching. We've often heard that as teachers, we have so much things to do in school, parang hindi tayo nauubusan ng trabaho. So Gabay is here to help us. It's a teaching assistant, it's a sidekick to make sure that all our clerical, menial tasks, and even the challenging ones, we have a companion, we have a gabay or sort of guide to help us, freeing us of more time so that we and giving us more time so that we can focus on important teacher tasks that are non-negotiable. For example, giving feedback to students, speaking to them, helping them, and creating meaningful interaction with them. Also, to be able to really look into and get to know our students. So again, at the core of Gabay, Gabay will not replace a teacher. Our goal as a company with an AI product is not to replace a teacher. We believe that teachers are irreplaceable. But for teachers to be irreplaceable, we need to make sure that we give them that we help them find the reasons that they're not replaceable. So in the end, we hope that Gabay will empower our teachers, and we also want to help the teacher to be irreplaceable. We believe that a lot of the teaching tasks of teachers are actually um, are anchored on making meaningful interactions and creating meaningful relationship with students. This make them irreplaceable. However, they cannot do this task, this important essential task, if they are flooded with a lot of teacher tasks. And that's our goal at Gabay. It's not to replace the teacher, it's actually to help the teacher with an important toolkit so that they can make themselves or realize that they are irreplaceable. These are important core ideas of Gabay. So what are the core highlights of Gabay? There are four core highlights of Gabay. This includes number one, since we are focusing on resource creation, the resource being created, like lesson plans and assessments, are all aligned with competencies. And by default, Gabay works with DepEd Matatag curriculum, the new DepEd Matatag curriculum. Now, if you have special curricula or special program offerings like advanced classes, or maybe Singaporean math or sciences, or maybe special languages like Spanish, or maybe Chinese Mandarin or Korean, we could actually help you uh, uh, help you bring those competencies into Gabay. Of course, there's a different way of doing that, but by default, DepEd Matatag aligned is our Gabay. So in just short, this first highlight is that we make sure that all our creations, resources created with Gabay are aligned with a curriculum that like DEP and Matatag. Second, optimize resource creation. Since our goal is to reduce the task of teachers, we do this by using AI to make sure that the creation is fast enough. So if you've noticed, AI creation is very efficient and very effective as well. So that's our goal, to make sure that time is actually cut in terms of planning and preparation so that there's more time for teachers to really look into what they want to do. Of course, a lot of our features in Gabay, they are actually student centered. What do you mean by this? You will see later on that in our prompt cards, in our features, we focus on modern pedagogical approaches like gamification, differentiated instructions. So after student-centeredness, Gabay is also teacher-friendly through our drop-down menus, through our user input boxes. All of this makes that the UI or the user interface of Gabay is very easy to use. So it's just a matter of choosing from the drop-down menu and then clicking and other prompts, and even just simply clicking generating the generate boxes and all of those things. Later on, you will see how teacher-friendly is Gabay because of our goal really to make sure that the work is very efficient. So core highlights or core features as well. Um, Four things that we are very proud of at Gabay. Number one, we have powerful prompt cards. We call them prompt cards. These are so what we did was to turn the tasks, teacher tasks, into automated prompt cards. So all there will be a prompt for lesson planning, creating formative assessments, and even email creation. So there are prompt cards for it. We are very much happy also that to introduce Gabby, the chatbot. So that means that if you have questions, for example, you don't have to go out of Gabay because the chatbot will answer your questions, especially about informations or things that you are curious about. Okay, or maybe there is a question, or you're not sure about something, an information for your lesson plan. You don't have to go out. You don't have to Google or search for it. You can just ask Gabay, and Gabay will give you answer in a matter of few seconds. And Gabby, the chatbot, is actually present when you're working the prompt cards. Gabby's there. You just pull it out, and then it will just give you answers for your queries. I will show that later on as we do the demo. Our files, the generated results can be downloaded as PDF files. So you can actually, for example, if you're creating lesson plans or formative assessments, you can actually print them, and like for example, a formative assessment, they can immediately become a worksheet for your students. And of course, very powerful customization options that we offer to our advanced school subscription. So that means we can actually label your own school's AI or Gabay, AI teaching assistant with your own school logo. Even the worksheets, the downloadable files will have your own logos, and even upload customized curricula. So this is what I meant a while ago when if you have special programs and they are outside depth and Matatag scope, we can actually customize those alignment features for competency alignment through our customization options. Of course, just to be clear, the customization options come with the advanced school subscription package. Right. So how do we sign up for Gabay? Signing up for Gabay is always free. And then after a certain trial period, you will be given a prompt to upgrade to the premium account of Gabay. So how do we sign up? Go to Gabay, the tagpros.us. I've already download type gabay.tagpros.us, and then I will just click sign up, and then you will have to input your name, your last name, the school that you belong to, and the email that you will be using for your account. You'll be able to use as well to create your own password. So depending on on how you would want it, I would want a very simple password. No, not that simple. It's still complex. And then click sign up. So let's see. Okay, sign up. Okay, so there I've already signed up, and immediately you will be given access to the dashboard. So you have already made your account. This is the dashboard. These are the prompt cards that you're seeing, and there are menus, clickable menus like AI and information disclaimer on the side. This is the very beautiful dashboard. On top, you will see that a prompt you are on a free trial version. So every time you click a prompt card, there will be an animation pointing to what you have chosen, okay, or hovering on. Speaking of prompt cards, we call our automated task prompt cards. So let's get to know the prompt cards. There are three categories for the prompt cards. Okay, there are three main categories. The first main category is lesson planning. So all prompt cards that concern planning for your instruction, they're under lesson planning. There's assessment prompt cards, and there are teacher task prompt cards. Miscellaneous clerical tasks that teachers do every day, they belong to the teacher task prompts. So lesson planning prompt cards, as of now, we have 5 prompt cards that you could use. Lesson plan designer, learning gamifier, cell activity planner, differentiated group activities, text and article differentiator. So if you've noticed, we're very much keen on focusing on um, student-centered approaches. Lesson planner is a very lesson plan design is a very powerful tool. I'll also show you later, because it's not just basic lesson plan, it's actually student-centered lesson planning, and you will have a lot of options. And then for our assessment prompt cards, we have formative assessment creator, real world assessment planner for your performance test or authentic assessment. And then together with real world assessment planner, you have rubrics designer prompt cards as well. There are more assessment prompt cards that are being developed, and we can't wait to really share to you in the coming months or 2 weeks. And then teacher task, email manager, so you can send and receive email. We have growth mindset behavior feedback writer. So this is very special. You want to give a behavior feedback to your students in a growth mindset way. Gabay could actually help you with that. If you want to send a memo to your parents, or maybe to the school, you have memo writer. And then a lot of our teachers actually were asking for a feature when we first tried it, classroom research ideas. So if you're into action research, or maybe doing just research or evidence-based or informed decision making, Gabay could help you focus on some research ideas as well. Now, usually when you open a prompt card, there are 3 kinds of input. The first one is drop-down menus. It's very easy. It's just really choosing from the drop-down menu that you will see on Gabay. And then there will be menus or dialog boxes where the user is it's open for user input. So you're the one who will have to type what you want, the prompt that you want to give to Gabay. And then there is also a very powerful prompt prompt area. So aside from choosing from the preset menus and designated user input menus, you could actually add your own prompt and other parameters to customize and to get a very good result from Gabay. Of course, the results are very good already, but if there are specific contexts to your prompts, you can add them in your add prompt. Again, three types of prompts within the prompt cards: drop down menus, open for user input menus, and then add your prompt and other parameters. Okay, so let's do a demo. Let's start with lesson plan designer. So I'm just gonna stop sharing my slides, and then I will transition to my demo account. So you would see on your screen right now my demo account. So I've already logged in, and I want to do a lesson planning. I want to do lesson planning with Gabay. So here you can see that there are already preset menus here. I want to choose, for example, grade 6. So let's look, for example, science. Okay, quarter. So it's already preset here. Third quarter. Content, like simple machines. And then learning activity. Now, what do you want? Student-centered. I don't know if you can see here, but there are a lot of different choices. On your screen. Okay. So let me just stop sharing my screen. I'm not quite sure if you can see it, but I want you to see. So I'm gonna show my desktop. So I hope you can see my desktop. So I already have chosen grade 6, subject science, third quarter. Content is simple machine learning activity. Okay, there are a lot of choices here. I want to do use of manipulatives. Okay, very student-centered learning competencies. I can choose which learning competency I want to do. So I want to do observe and describe examples and uses of simple machines. Lesson format, you have choices 4As, 5Es, and 7Es. We can also customize this depending if you are a subscriber on the advanced school subscription. A lot of this could be customized. So I want to do 5Es because basically this is the one being commonly used for science. I just want to do 2 sessions for this because the other competencies I can do different sessions for them. I want to add parameters. I want make I want to make sure that the output is detailed. Make the lesson plan more detailed. Okay. So I want to tap generate. And quickly, Gabay is already doing its work. And then doing its work, let us see. There, you can already see the generated lesson plan, content, learning competencies, making sure that everything is aligned. Now, if you're not happy with the result, you can actually regenerate here, generate again. But I'm okay already, so I want to download it. So I'm downloading it. And then it's in my download folder. I just want to bring this up already. And it's opening in my other screen should be here. So you can see already that this is the output. Everything is here. Okay. So let's remember that we've used grade 3 science, third quarter. So you can have other more subjects options here if you want. Okay, that's lesson plan designer. Now, if I have a question, you will see Gabi here already. You can actually pull out Gabi already here. Okay, but I'll show that how to use it, Gabi later. But you can already make use of Gabi within this. So, what about let's do differentiated group activities. Okay, I want to do the same thing. Grade 6 subject science. I think did we just first quarter? No, third quarter learning competency. Observe and describe examples of use as machine. Okay, differentiated actions. Let's see based on interest based in differentiation. Let's do groups, resource material, include, make the output very detailed. I just want to make sure that everything's there. Let's see, generate. although the output is very detailed already, sometimes I just want to make sure that it's more detailed than what I want. So let's see if there. So you can already see activity preview, activity steps, exploration stations. So we're doing station rotation basically, and then application and real life scenarios there. So all of this are actually here, collaborative group work, varied materials, hands-on exploration, and scaffolded tasks. You can again download this. Let's see the output. Let's see the output. There, the output is actually here. So it's so much clearer, so much nice as well in terms of the activity. So if you're having a hard time as a teacher doing differentiated learning or planning for one, here is your help and tool. Now, what else do you want to do? Formative assessment. Okay, this is very interesting. Let's do the same lesson. So I'm trying to create a lesson and you're timing me as well. I'm given 30 minutes to do the demo. And right now we've done a lot of things already. Grade 6, formative assessment creator, science, quarter period, third. What's the topic? Simple machines, learning objectives, there. You can do multiple learning objectives. For now, I'm just choosing one assessment type. Multiple choice, provide answer key, yes. Okay, that's for you. That's for your reference. You can choose no. I'm gonna give you a tip later on why it's important as well to choose no. 10 items. I don't want to add other parameters. Should be very straightforward. Okay, let's see. Generating formative assessment and just waiting for the output. There, the output. So you already have the questions here. And of course, as teachers, you will have to read them as well, just to make sure that the input is correct. But usually the input is correct. These are very common knowledge-based information. So there. Now, you can download this, but I'm gonna give you a trick. What if you want a worksheet? If you want a worksheet that your students could actually use, to just put no here. So we don't provide the answer key and then generate again. Let's see if it will generate the same test. We have coded Gabay not to generate the same questions actually, so that there will be variation as well. So there. Now, here's the good thing. I want to download this and I don't want to spend too much time creating a new worksheet for it. This is actually the downloaded file. It can actually be already a worksheet that your students can answer. You can then ask your student to put their answers on the empty boxes here. Okay? So there. What else do we want to explore? So there are a lot of things that you can explore. What if I want to give feedback to my students? We believe in growth mindset, and feedback for students are very, very helpful. So what if I have a feedback to my student? Let's say, for example, Juan de la Cruz. Juan de la Cruz, and his section is 6C. His section is 6C. Area for improvement. I want to choose class participation because one the lectures needs to be more participative. Try to ask or answer questions in class. There are already suggested improvement. What if he's also having challenges in listening and communication skills? Ask for feedback on participate in discussions and listen to other viewers. Now, I want to make sure that he also knows that he's good on something. So following instructions and attendance and punctuality. Now, you can also add more details here about Juan de la Cruz. Add that Juan de la Cruz is actually a potential, for example, potential leader. Okay. And then make the feedback concise. If you just want to be straightforward. So it's through generate. There. So you will now have your generated response here, which you can copy and maybe send this to the parent. So for example, so you have the growth mindset. If you read this, it's very assuring that Juan de la Cruz, if you want to send this to the parent or Juan de la Cruz, that the feedback is there, very specific, and the tone is very encouraging and very straightforward. A lot of us do not have much time to really give behavior to the students, feedback, but Gabay is actually very helpful with this. Now I want to pick this up, and then maybe last demo for us. I wanted to copy this, so I've copied. So I'm gonna make sure that I copied this. So copy. Now I want to send this to as an email. So email manager, generate an email, write an email to Mrs. De La Cruz about his son Juan de la Cruz, Macdil de la Cruz, uh, about about the behavior of his son de la Cruz. Use the information below. Since I've already copied it there, okay, make the email short. Okay, let's generate an email. So if you want to send this feedback to Juan de la Cruz behavior, make sure that you copy and paste and just put it here, there. So yeah, it's actually here. Now you can code if you can actually say just copy and paste the information below. But what we did here was to rephrase. So you can just copy this one and then you will then paste it in your email. Okay. Now, I've also mentioned a while ago that we have a chatbot, a very powerful chatbot called Gabby. So Gabby is everywhere. So here you can just click Gabby and it will come out, and there will be like a question prompt here. Even if you're doing something like classroom research ideas, you can actually click and it will be there while you're working on your prompt as well. So for example, I'm working on classroom research ideas and I don't really have something in mind, but I want to ask Gabby, what's a classroom these and I want to, for example, I want to do something about flip learning and I don't know what flip learning is. What is flip learning? Oops, sorry. Learning. So Gabby will be able to answer there. If I don't know what flip learning, but I want to do classroom research on it because I've heard it from my friends, and then Gabby could actually give me information here. It's very powerful. Okay, so there you can just read it. Give me examples of flip learning tools. Okay, so immediately there are some very good suggestions here. Video creation tools, learning management system. Now I have some idea I can now put here. I'm gonna minimize Gabby if I want. So you'll see it's still bright yellow, but if I wanna exit, you can do X. There will be a prompt. Yes, I'm not done yet. Yes, exit Gabby. So you can just choose. I wanna do, no, I'm not done yet. Minimize. I'm interested in conducting a study on flip learning. And then target participant students who can choose which research parts. So this is just an example already of how you're doing integration with Gabby. And then other parameters. I don't have other parameters, just brainstorming. So I will then, because of Gabby, I was able to do to prompt and then let's try to generate again and see if there are current results already. It's not showing, but it should be showing. Okay, there. Conducting a study on flip learning. So sometimes this might happen depending on your prompt. So you'll have the ideas. Now, if you have questions, for example, what do you mean by quasi-experimental design? You don't know this. Then you can ask Gabby, what is a quasi-experimental design? Oops, sorry. Should be a question. but Gabby understood. So there. So you can have questions. Gabby will be able to answer there. Okay, so Gabby is a very powerful assistant as well within Gabay. All right. So there, that's for Gabby. And this is the dashboard, and we're very much happy to share that there are more features coming in. We're not yet done creating all the features, but these are our top 12 features right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop sharing. I'll now continues. We're very much we're very much happy of Gabay, and we're very much proud of it because it's the work of Filipino teachers for the Filipino teachers. Now, just some information and content disclaimer. When you're using Gabay, there are four things that we want you to understand and remember, and this is actually included in our dashboard. Number one, Gabay, like any other AI, will always target for accuracy and reliability. We will always target for accuracy and reliability. However, there will be instances that some information might not be accurate and reliable. Sometimes they might not be updated. So we not want to make sure that in the end you read them, use your critical thinking and evaluation skills to make sure that you understand the ideas there. Most of the time, if information is common, you'll be able to hear them. Okay, or you'll be able to really see that they are accurate. Gabay does not provide legal or professional advice. So if you have concerns with legal or maybe health, please don't use Gabay for that. There are more what you call that experts in the different professional field. We're trying to help teachers. We don't want to give legal or maybe health or professional financial advice as well. Limitations of AI technology. We're continuously improving our AI. So there might be some limitations that you'll be encounter, like generation might not be happening, generating results. Some results might not be showing up. So there is a feedback form on the panel, which you can actually use and send us as well. And then of course, user responsibility, very important. That you use your critical thinking skills, evaluative skills to make sure that all information you're getting from us are actually accurate. We will try to be accurate and reliable, but we also want to work with you and empower you as well as teachers to try to verify the information. Very quickly as well, what about subscription and customization options? There are three main subscription plans. Number one, individual subscription for teachers is 499 per month, and you will be given access to Gabay Premium. Our basic school subscription, when a school subscribes, and a small school subscribes, we actually give the discounted 450 per month, but all teachers should be subscribers of that school. It will give you access to Gabay Premium. Now, if you want customization features like uploading of special curriculum, white labeling, making sure that you have your own logos, and maybe even like creating your own Gabay version, um, the price is upon request. But this will give you powerful tools to customize Gabay for your own needs as a school. Okay. Now, it's very important to it's important for us to share as well. If you have questions, please send a query to gabay@tagpros.org. Subscription question, feature questions, all of this, please make sure that you go there, that you use this email as well. That's it for now. Thank you so much. This is just a very quick demo on how Gabay is a very powerful tool, a sidekick for all teachers. Again, I just want to reiterate, the core mission of Gabay is to help the teacher be irreplaceable. We want the teachers to be empowered. We don't want to replace the teacher. We are pro teachers, and we're helping teachers take back a lot of their time so that they can focus on more meaningful interaction and relationship building with their students. And with that, thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toscano, for sharing the features of Gabay. So it takes so it reduces the time it requires for teachers to do administrative tasks, and I think that a lot of appreciation should be in line with how it takes into consideration the preparation that a teacher would need, and it's also aligned with the Matatag curriculum. So once again, thank you very much. Following our exploration of AI's impact, we now turn our attention to Noodle Factory, an AI-powered teaching and learning platform. Our next speaker is an educator and entrepreneur based in Singapore, focusing on digital pedagogy and the application of AI in teaching and learning. He co-founded Noodle Factory and has advised numerous educational institutions on using generative and conversational AI. Please welcome Dr. Jim Wagstaff from Noodle Factory.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be with you. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate and contribute to this webinar. I'm really excited about what we're going to discuss today. It is something that I spend a lot of time thinking about and applying in different settings, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. And make sure that if you have questions, you maybe jot those down. We'll have a chance to cover some of those questions that you might have related to this topic. So let me first off introduce myself just very briefly in relation to the topic. As you know, my name is Jim Wagstaff, and my day-to-day really involves a couple of different things. I'm the co-founder of Noodle Factory. We are an AI teaching assistant that's being used by educators of many different types, both in educational institutions, but also in companies. And then I also teach a course that's a professional development course in association with Singapore Management University, primarily working with educators on the application of innovative technologies in teaching and learning, such as AI. And I'll be able to get into a little bit of that today. You see my email up here on the screen. There's my LinkedIn profile address. I would love to stay in touch with you after today. So very quickly, one question that I'll just hit right up front: why noodles? Noodle Factory. This is a question that we often get. No, it's really two things. Noodle or noodling is slang for brain or thinking in a lot of English-speaking cultures. So that's one inspiration and why noodles. I guess there's three, because secondly, we really like noodles in our company. And being from Singapore, we have a lot of choices around noodles. But thirdly, and maybe most importantly, this notion of noodles, particularly instant noodles, it's a design principle that we have as a part of the way we implement AI with educators, knowing that most educators are not super comfortable with deep technology, and certainly AI is a new type of deep technology that many educators are a little bit hesitant about. We wanted to make sure that, like a cup noodles product, whether your favorite is cup noodles, Nissin cup noodles, or maybe Maggi Me, or if you're from the Philippines, Lucky Me, how long does that take to get ready to eat? 3-4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes if you add your own ingredients and spice it up a little bit. So it should be quick and easy, like a cup of noodles. That's our design principle. And by the way, it should be no code. So that's what has inspired us to come up with the name, but it's also driving us in terms of, pardon me, how we deliver what we do. So here's a big question for you as we dive into the topic, and I show you some examples of this. Ask yourself the question: what if we in our teaching and learning could scale ourselves? We as humans do not typically scale very well, but what if we could do that in terms of our own productivity as educators, using AI to automate certain activities that are important, but we don't necessarily need to do them ourselves? And what if we could also scale our ability to engage our students? So in essence, what if every one of us had either an assistant or a staff of assistants that we could call on to help us and to help our students? And what if that was available to our students anytime, any device, really anywhere they might happen to be at the moment of need, day or night? Well, that's kind of the promise of generative AI in teaching and learning. And this is where I spend a lot of time with institutions and researching this topic, using action research, because my hypothesis, or my set of hypotheses around this topic, is that, yeah, if we properly apply AI, this can enhance our traditional pedagogies. It doesn't really replace what we do or certainly who we are as teachers, as educators, but it also makes learning potentially more accessible, more inclusive. It helps to democratize access to education, notwithstanding the digital divide. And then, of course, there's this notion of hyper-personalization of learning. And that's where the generative AI component of this comes in. I'm sure all of you, given that you're here thinking and talking about AI and education, have examined this, and you know that generative AI now isn't restricted to just text, but we're talking about code and images and music and video and so much more to come. In fact, one of the simple ways I often demonstrate what generative AI is to turn on translation in PowerPoint, just like I've done here, to say, yes, I'm speaking English, but generative AI is helping me to transform what I'm saying into another language in real time. And this is just a very small example of what we can do with our students, and more importantly, what they can do on their own. We've all heard the examples of what AI can do and the sorts of things that can be done for us as educators and the potential for our students. I think one important area to think through is how we contrast traditional learning, and I'm generalizing here, and I'm really thinking about pre-November 30th, 2022, which was the date that ChatGPT was launched. So the traditional way that we approach teaching and learning versus AI-assisted opportunities. And notice I've said opportunities here because this is not a given. It doesn't really mean that just because we introduce a tool like generative AI in our teaching and learning that it will have the appropriate outcomes. We need to make sure that we are constantly thinking about the proper application and extension of our current pedagogical approaches. So whether that's personalization in learning, the ability to adapt curriculum as opposed to having always a very fixed curriculum, it's this balance that we have. So today, where we might have more of a one-size-fits-all approach, and I know that's not completely true, but even where we try to differentiate, that's very hard at the individual student level. Generative AI gives us the potential to have that differentiation, that hyper-personalization right down to the individual level. It allows us to become much more learner-centric and to give students the ability to get immediate feedback at that moment when they're in learning mode, so that we can keep them moving through the topic in that, as it's called, the zone of proximal development, where we're constantly keeping them in that sweet spot where things are never too difficult or too easy, but they're able, through personalization, to get what they need when they need it and move towards mastery in a subject. Now, I'll introduce to you something that you may be familiar with, but I'm going to give this to you in a slightly different context. We all know Benjamin Bloom, and whether you love him or hate him, he's a contentious individual now, mainly because of Bloom's taxonomy. Benjamin Bloom was a behaviorist, and most educators are moving towards more of a constructivist mindset. But I think here, if you take a step back and you balance what Benjamin Bloom said about another area of education, something that he called the 2 sigma problem, he basically hypothesized and proved that if you gave students access to high quality one-to-one tutoring, they would perform better than their peers. In fact, he hypothesized and he proved that would be 2 standard deviations, statistically very, very significant. He also hypothesized and proved through implication that the teaching method, in this case tutoring, was the most important element of that differentiation between students who did really well and students who did okay, but were in the average, right at the heart of the distribution curve. That teaching method of tutoring was the most important element of the difference. Now, that is, when you look at it through the lens of today's environment, pretty obvious. Yes, if every student had access to high quality one-to-one tutoring, certainly they would perform better. But the problem then, as it has been today, is economically and logistically, that is just not a possibility. We don't have enough teachers to begin with, and much less tutors for every single student. But AI potentially gives us the opportunity to solve this problem. This is where it now gets very, very interesting. Because if you think about the way that we apply this, and this is an actual example, think about our class sizes. ITE, the Institute of Technical Education here in Singapore, where I'm located, their typical class size is about 40 students. And that's not atypical if you look across Southeast Asia. Student-teacher ratios run about that level. And even if we wanted to give much more individualized, differentiated engagement to each student, we just don't have enough hours in the day. So we embarked on some action research with ITE a couple of years ago, and this has been written up in a paper that I'm glad to share with you. This has been published and peer-reviewed. ITE embarked on a quasi-experimental research study, meaning that the control group was self-selected. So ethically, here you don't want to not allow students to have access to the tools that they need to learn. So it's a self-selected group. And so you have to take that into consideration. However, what they found was they were able to replicate the sorts of impacts that Bloom hypothesized and proved with human tutors, but using generative AI. So things like student performance, learning outcomes, measuring that in the form of knowledge checks and quizzes, particularly formative assessments, measuring the impact between students who used generative AI for tutoring purposes, and they were using the Noodle Factory platform versus those who did not. Engagement levels were also higher, and a happy byproduct of all of that is that educator productivity went up to the tune of several hours per week. Very, very significant productivity gains. Now, the other thing that was also a byproduct of this research and that we proactively engage institutions around is language. So just like you saw me demonstrate earlier, generative AI has the ability to allow students to engage with a topic in pretty much any language that they want. Our platform supports upwards of about 110 languages. And even though the curriculum might be in English, as an example, the student can choose to engage in the language of maybe that they use at home or that they're more confident in, so that when they are back in the classroom, they have really unpacked that area of the curriculum, understood it, gained a measure of mastery around that curriculum. They come back into the classroom and they're more likely going to be able to engage in English or any other language that's being used to teach the course. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And I'll show you an example of that right now. So let's switch over to, I want to show you Noodle Factory and how we do this. This is one of many approaches that you could take. But I want you to imagine that I'm teaching a sports nutrition course. And in the process of teaching my class, I've got lots of different materials that I use, probably using PowerPoint, different articles, lesson notes, maybe papers that I've written, lots and lots of different documents or websites or locations, as we'll see in my learning management system, where I have information about this course. So I'm going to upload some information that I'm using to teach the course. And in Noodle Factory, once I've done that, a knowledge base is created. It cleans that document up and it creates a knowledge base that students can chat with. And if that's all I want to do, then I'm pretty much done. But maybe I have some other information that isn't in a PDF or a PowerPoint or a Word document. I might have it in my learning management system. And I'm going to go and grab some files that are sitting, in this case, in Canvas, but it could be Blackboard or D2L or Moodle or really any standard learning management system. And there again, I can grab that information that's being used in the classroom, whether that classroom is a physical classroom or a virtual classroom. And now I can process that document very easily, not using any code. And now a knowledge base has been created. So think of this knowledge base as the ability for students to go in and have a conversation with a virtual version of a class professor or instructor or a subject matter expert. I can also summarize those documents. Maybe I want to combine summarized documents to create a teaching guide or maybe a study guide for students. In this case, around sports nutrition, you can see I'm basically summarizing and cleaning up a lot of information from different sources, and I could either use that for my own purposes, or I could hand that out to my students to get them to use that as a study guide. So all of that very easily done, and I can save that. That's available now for me to publish out to my students, or I can use it for other reasons. What we also find too is that many educators in higher education are not necessarily well versed in education itself. They're subject matter experts. They may be adjunct faculty. So in our case, we also have some tools around generation of learning outcomes, assisting in the lesson planning process. So I can use my documents to get tips and recommendations on learning outcomes. Once I've done that, I can also go in and I can create question answer pairs, which can be used for a number of different purposes. I can use this to create guided tutorials on a subject. So think of this as flashcards, or maybe I want students to have more of a guided, directed approach towards a subject. And so this will allow me to do that. I can edit that. None of this is in a black box, so to speak. So all of these areas I can edit. I can add in my own information, like videos or documents or other rich media. And so for the student, this then becomes an extension of what's happening in the classroom. From here, I can save all of this and again, publish this. And as we'll see in a moment, the student can access this through the learning management system, or they can access it directly. The other thing I can do is I can create quizzes based on the information that's been ingested and contextualized. And I'm pretty much ready to go. I can go ahead and view that quiz, make sure that I'm comfortable with the questions, whether those are open-ended answers that I'm looking for, which can be immediately scored and given feedback, or multiple choice or checkbox, or any of about 8 or 9 question types, including rubric-based questions. I can set all of this up very quickly and then be in a position to give my students immediate feedback. And what you're seeing here is I can also link these questions back to the knowledge base that I've created. So if a student takes a knowledge check and they get feedback and they've struggled in a particular area, they have the option of going back into the content, revising that immediately, and potentially then taking that knowledge check again, right at that point where it's fresh in their mind, and they can use that in the service of developing mastery in that topic. So once I've done that, once I've created all of that, and I didn't time that, but that took just a few minutes, and that was all in relative real time, I'm ready to publish that out to my students. And so if I use Canvas as an example of a learning management system, you can imagine, as a student, I log in, I come into my normal Canvas page, I'm taking a sports nutrition course. To me, as a student, what this really looks like is, hey, this is just another part of my course. I go ahead and I link off to the AI tutor. That becomes another tab. This could potentially be in my reading list for the week, or my assignment list in the week, or multiple places. But it allows me to then go in and explore this topic, maybe do some flashcards, understand in a guided way the structure of a week's module, or a revision around a week's module that my instructor might want me to have. I can see where everything's coming from too. This is all referenced. So if I click on View Source, I'm looking at exactly where that came from in the content that's being used to teach my course, or that I'm using to study or learn the information that's a part of my course. That's a very important concept. Everything that I'm doing as a student, whether it's guided or free form, where I'm asking questions, is within, think of it like a walled garden. So unlike a tool, say like ChatGPT, everything is kind of closed in a very positive way. Students are not going outside to the internet. The information is not going outside to the wider world. Information that I put in is my information that is not being used to train large language models. It isn't leaking out into the internet. So all of this is very much private And that's important not only from a security and a data privacy perspective, but also I'm able to use copyrighted materials that fall up under the doctrine of fair use in most countries. Here you can see an example of how I'm using Spanish, in this case, to engage with English content. And the tutor switches immediately to the language of my choice and will stay in this language until I switch back to English. So lots of information coming your way. There you can see I'm looking at the references. The references are in Spanish, although the original content, when I look at the original content, that's clearly in English. And if I wanted to switch back to English, I'm asking the agent to explain to me muscle glycogen breakdown as if you were speaking to your grandmother. So kind of a typical prompt that you would use in any generative AI tool. We can use that in this context as well, but it is within that walled garden of the content. So just another example of this, and this is an example that I'm working on right now for some pre-medical students who are struggling with medical terminology. Well, I said many of them are struggling, but some of them just need a little extra time to get tutoring and to spend the time that they need on this subject. So imagine you're a pre-med student, you're coming in. This particular tutor has been trained on all of the materials being used to teach the medical terminology course. And I'm asking MedTerm, that's the name of this agent, what can you do for me? So these are the things that MedTerm can do. MedTerm knows that because it's been trained on all of this information by uploading documents that the educator is using. And I'm saying, hey, I really need help with suffixes in medical terms. So those endings of medical terms, I really need help understanding that. Can you give me some common examples of these medical terms? So that's one aspect. And we'll look at another aspect. Here again, I could switch to another language. Many medical terms are obviously drawn from Latin, so maybe I haven't studied Latin or I don't remember my Latin from school, so I could ask for explanations of what the Latin words mean and lots of different things that I could do there. So here I'll ask a question about what is this term in Spanish? And immediately the agent's going to switch over to Spanish. It'll give me the overview and the definition of this in Spanish, but then I can switch back to English if I'm ready to, if I feel comfortable and confident in this topic. All right, so the last thing then that I'd like to share with you is sort of some thoughts on ethics and the inclusion aspect of what we're trying to do. So anytime we introduce a tool like this, one of the things that we need to think about, certainly one of the first things we think about from a design perspective, are the data privacy and security implications, both for the institution with the intellectual property that's being used in the service of AI-powered teaching and learning, but then also for the students as well, personally identifiable information, student information. So that needs to be top of mind, and make sure that any of these tools that we're using are private, they're secure, and secondly, that there is an effort towards bias mitigation. Any of the information that has been used to train AIs, because it has been created by humans, there may be the potential for bias. So make sure that the tools that you're using, there is an ongoing effort to minimize bias. This is one of those things we may never be able to fully eliminate bias from tools when there are humans involved in creating the original source material, but we can try to minimize that and make that as low as possible. So if you're a teacher, if you're an educator, just make sure that you're monitoring AI interactions to ensure fairness and equity, that you're seeing a diverse set of representation and opinions, that the inclusiveness of the training data is following through to what is happening with the students. Think accessibility too, because here, you want to make sure that students who have certain difficulties, whether it's physical issues or neurodiverse students, I'm thinking particularly those who are autistic or maybe dyslexic, there are definitely ways that you can ensure that those types of students who have barriers to learning can overcome those barriers, potentially with the aid of AI. Dyslexia is one of those areas where we've seen some really positive, unexpected consequences in the action research that we've done, simply because dyslexic students and also students who are autistic, they're able to spend the time that they need in order to really, in a judgment-free way, understand what the content is, how to apply that content. Other areas to consider, just in terms of cultural sensitivity, make sure that from a language perspective, this is something that we do right out of the box, that you foster an inclusive learning environment and really be culturally aware when you're designing content and interacting with your students. Now, you might be thinking, okay, all of this sounds really interesting. I would like to give this a try. However, I'm not the most technical individual. That's okay. The user competencies, at least for the Noodle Factory platform that we've designed that you would need to have, if you can navigate basic web functionality, so think browsers, if you have the ability, or also the learning management system potentially, if you can identify those repetitive tasks that are getting in the way of your own productivity, maybe encroaching on your nights and weekends, that's one thing. And then we can help you to figure out how to automate that. And then, are you able to provide clear instructions? There is this thing called prompt engineering that you've probably studied a little bit. That's kind of an unfortunate term because it's really just giving clear instructions. Most educators that I know are really good at giving instructions. So it's just taking that skill that we've already got and transferring that into the use of AI. So here would be my recommendations, just to finish off. I think if you consider where AI can best be applied, the sorts of challenges that AI can solve for you and your students, how that can be integrated into your teaching, and then what does success look like, both in numbers, but then also in words? How would you describe a successful outcome? These are things that certainly I'd like to continue the conversation with you, and I'm going to share my contact information again in a moment. We'd love to help you with this or give you some ideas around this if any of this is interesting. And in that spirit, please do feel free to reach out and connect with us. There's my email address. I also have written a book on this subject, and I'm not trying to sell you a book, but if you would like to get that book, here's the link to it. We'll share this with you. But if you're attending this webinar and you're interested in this subject, if you write to me, and if you'd like an electronic copy of the book, I will be more than happy to send that your way. And the very last thing that I'll share with you is we do have a free trial account that if you would like to try out Noodle Factory, please reach out to Carlos Strigan from ADI, our partner in the Philippines. If you go to that QR code, the link behind that QR code, that will link you with Carlos, and he will get you set up with a free trial account. Again, thank you so much for your time and your attention, and I look forward to engaging you in the question and answer session soon. Thank you again.
Thank you for that enlightening presentation, Dr. Wagstaff. It's important to note how AI tools promote opportunities for more learner-centered approaches, and these are available in the Noodle Factory. So we must also be mindful of how proper application of generative AI must be considered, especially in relation to data security, ethics, and inclusion. So we will now proceed with our interactive Q&A session where you can connect with our speaker. So feel free to submit your questions in the comments section. Unfortunately, Ms. Sigismundo and Mr. Toscano will not be able to join us in this session, but our team will be forwarding your questions and for them to address after this live stream. So as displayed on your screen, here is Dr. Jim for the Q&A session. Hello, Dr. Jim.
Hello.
Yes, so for our first question, let me see. So, hello. So how does your tool personalize or adapt to the different needs of your users?
Yeah, one of the ways, and you might have picked up on this in the presentation, is through the knowledge checks or quizzes that you provide. Most of these would be formative assessments. So think of this as assessment as learning, as opposed to an assessment of learning. In that process, the way students are performing in those assessments will help to direct the level of difficulty of the content, or the whether or not it's advanced or more foundational content that the students have access to. And if you're familiar with the concept of the zone of proximal development, it's that sweet spot in learning where we're being challenged, but it's not too hard. We don't feel demotivated or overwhelmed, but it's not too easy either, where we feel bored. So the tool really tries to keep students in that zone of proximal development. And the way that we know that is primarily through how they perform in those knowledge checks. The other way is through self-direction. Students can come in and essentially have a conversation with either a virtual version of the course material, or in some cases, a virtual version of the professor, the teacher, the facilitator. So it's a very self-directed way of asking questions, doing activities, even asking the agent, which is what we refer to these avatars as, what can you do for me? How can you help me? What are some areas that you could help me to explore, or help me to revise in this content? So those are two very simple, straightforward ways where we do personalization. There are others that we could get into, but I think if I look at the way that teachers are implementing this type of AI that we have in our platform, those are probably the two most common ways. Probably 70, 80% of the personalization is happening in one of those two ways.
Thank you very much. So our next question is also related to this previous question. So what measures have you taken to ensure that your AI tool is fair and unbiased in its recommendations and assessments?
Yeah, so this is something, as I mentioned, that you constantly have to be on the lookout for. One of the things that we do before we release any features is we go through quite a bit of usability testing, the user experience testing. So we try to think like a teacher, think like a student, and throw a lot of different scenarios at the tool, at the capabilities that we're introducing, to see what comes out. The other area, though, is that we do have a feedback loop as a part when we go live, and let's say students are actually engaging with the curriculum. There's a feedback loop. Pretty simple, thumbs up, thumbs down, but they can also leave comments. Even in the process of being provided a score and feedback on a formative assessment, if a student doesn't agree with that, or they feel that there's something amiss there, they can disagree, and that immediately goes to their teacher. They can tick a box and say, either I don't agree with this. There's also a place where they can put information in to say why they don't agree with it. And that feedback loop is not only to protect the integrity of the process. If a teacher sees that and says, well, this student might have a point, I think there is maybe a better way to score this, or to give feedback, or both, the teacher can then agree with that simply by the click of a button, and that serves to retrain the model, the knowledge base. So you're kind of doing multiple things at once there. You're saying to the student, you're in control. There is this thing called AI anxiety that a lot of students have, and as teachers, we should be aware of this. The moment you introduce an AI into the process, there are some students who will feel very anxious about that because they feel like they're losing control. A human is out of the loop, when in reality, that's not the case. And we want to make that very visible, that the student is still in control, a human is still in the loop. And so that's one byproduct. And the other byproduct is, of course, as an educator, by taking that feedback on board, involving the student in the process, that not only serves to keep the lines of communication open, but then it does help to keep the knowledge base fresh and, going back to the question, ideally unbiased. Sorry, this is a kind of a long answer, but the third element of this that I would ask everyone to consider is the the content that we're using to feed into these AIs. Before we use that in any sort of classroom environment, I think it's important that we all are just aware of what the underlying content contains. And that would be a best practice as well. It's something that I've really started doing a lot more, uh, kind of being sensitive to this issue before I ingest a document into an agent. And I had this happen yesterday, as a matter of fact. I realized there was some relatively old, kind of outdated, somewhat biased information that was contained in a PowerPoint presentation that I was ingesting. It was about 10 years old. And I realized I had better fix that first before I ingest that into the AI tool. Otherwise, I'm just propagating old biased information. And so there's a responsibility, I guess, a burden that each of us has to carry, uh, ensuring that we're aware that these issues do exist and getting ahead of that in the content that we choose to use in these environments.
Very much. So I gained a lot of insight from your answer in that one. And to expound on it, one of our viewers has a question. So an issue, this is from Miss Rina Ong Soto. So an issue with AI is the accuracy or reliability of information it generates. So what data was your AI tool trained on, and how do you ensure that the information is always accurate and updated?
Yeah. So this is something that we've been working on for a long, long time. Noodle Factory predates ChatGPT and kind of the hype around generative AI. We started working on this in 2018, and I think there's an advantage to that because our approach to this was always to base the answers and the engagements that students would have on the data itself that we were ingesting. We always had this idea that teachers are using a lot of really rich information to teach their classes already. Why not repurpose that in a more conversational way? So, one of the ways that we're trying to minimize what are commonly called hallucinations, where you have AI in the worst case, which is just making things up, or in a more benign way, just getting it wrong, which is not good either, by the way. One of the ways to minimize that is to essentially create this private environment, which is what we've done. And the answers are all based on what's in the knowledge base, what I have uploaded. Our algorithms are trained very explicitly to only look at the knowledge base. Now, the balance that we have there is we tell our algorithms, or these are not humans, obviously, but we've trained them in a way, given them instructions to say you can make inferences, but you can only make inferences within the knowledge base. And if you make an inference, you must tell the student. If you don't know something, don't make it up. You must tell the student. So we've really tried to be very specific about that to mitigate that risk. It's another reason why we have a view source button at the bottom of every response from the AI, so that if a student has a question, they can go back to the original source content, which is what the teacher would have uploaded, and they can see that, whether that was a textbook or an article, PowerPoint presentation, lesson notes. They can go back and review that for themselves if they have a question, or maybe if they want to go a bit deeper in the subject.
Thank you so much. It's nice to know that you aim to minimize these hallucinations, and that the Noodle Factory actually provides a more secure environment for information against data bias. So this one is our last question that we will be answering in this live stream. However, please still feel free to comment your questions so that we can redirect them to our speakers and so that they can be answered later on after the live stream. So this is from Miss Beth J. Matira. Is the utilization of AI in teaching and learning process bounded with policy as to not be charged of cheating because the output generally comes from AI?
What was the sorry? What was the first part of that question again? Is there a policy? Was that the question?
Yes. Is there a policy to not be charged of cheating or academic dishonesty?
Sure, sure. Now, this is obviously an issue. It's really bubbled to the surface with generative AI since the dawn of ChatGPT or the release of ChatGPT into the wild. But I would maybe take a slightly different tack on this because academic integrity is not a new issue, is it? Cheating has been around as long as education has existed. So if we go back to the early forms of institutions of education, that has always been an issue. However, it has become a little more pernicious and a little easier to cheat. I think what this is driving is, yes, a discussion around policy. And if your school or institution does not have a policy around the proper safe use of generative AI, definitely make sure that you have something in place, including a statement around what constitutes academic integrity related to the use of generative AI. And there are plenty of examples that are out there if you're in need of that. Most schools today have acknowledged that banning generative AI that's not a viable option. That just drives it underground. Students are going to use these tools. And you've probably heard this example before, but we're having our Google moment or our calculator moment, depending on how old you are. We have to learn how to teach within this type of an environment. So it means that not only will students have to evolve their understanding of academic integrity and their understanding of what it means to use these tools in a way that doesn't violate academic integrity, it means that we have to evolve our teaching methods and our assessment methods as well. Recently, I had a conversation about this very topic, assessment. What does assessment look like in the future where we can't reliably use essays, just as a painful example, to say whether or not a student has learned something, they are demonstrating understanding and application of a topic. We have to do something different. Maybe this means, and just take this as an example, we need to do more oral presentations of understanding. Maybe we need to do more project-driven assessments. Perhaps there are other ways that we can get students to fully, depending on your subject matter, demonstrate that level of understanding. Can they transfer that knowledge into the wider world or generalize that knowledge? What are the ways that, and here's the term, authentic assessment can occur in the age of AI? It's probably not going to be the ways that we have traditionally utilized. So just kind of wrapping up on that, because this is a big topic, we could spend a lot of time talking about just this. I think in terms of policy, if you think about finding a balance between the use of these tools, because here's the thing we all have to remember, our students, no matter their age, but particularly older students, these are skills, the use of generative AI, that are going to be in high demand, and they will dictate employability in the future. So we owe it to our students to help them understand how to use generative AI in the right way, in an ethical way. The balance, though, is how do we ensure that we don't encourage academic laziness and encourage students to do things the wrong way by restructuring or evolving our pedagogical approaches and the way that we do assessments? I didn't give you a whole lot of answers on that because there are many different answers to that depending on your situation, but I think there's some food for thought that you can take away. Really look at yourself and your own practice and say, what does this look like for me in the context of the level that my students are at, the type of subject matter I'm teaching, what authentic assessment looks like for those students in this subject matter, and how can I create a more balanced approach that does recognize the modern evolved necessity of generative AI with the need to embrace academic integrity and to encourage my students to do the same?
So thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Wagstaff, for your insights on this one. Actually, we are having a series of webinars, as I have mentioned a while ago. And the next webinar will be touching a little bit on the policy and governance regarding AI. So I'm glad that we got to touch on to this. So it emphasizes on the continuity of this webinar. So for our viewers, so please stay tuned with Simeo Initech so that you can get more insights on all of these interesting topics. So thank you once again, Dr. Jim, for your answers and for answering some of the comments in the comment section. So our team will be organizing the questions and then we'll be sending them to you. So hopefully when you provide an answer, we can provide those who have inquired with the answers. So for our next segment, we will be having a little recap of our rich discussions so far. So today we have explored the different available tools for AI in education, and Microsoft shared with us the different AI-powered tools that are part of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem that aims to help and assist both teachers and students. These include the Learning Accelerator AI-powered tools, which aim to assist teachers and students in the learning process, and Microsoft Copilot, if you remember that, a generative AI-powered tool that can provide help for lesson plans and more. So if you'd like to learn more, Microsoft offers free courses on AI and teaching via the link that was provided. And then next, Mr. Francis Jim Toscano shared about Gabay. So Gabay is an AI-powered tool, once again, for educators that can provide assistance for other tasks outside of teaching. So it aims to leverage on lessening the administrative tasks that teachers have to handle. So from sending emails to writing memos and providing classroom research ideas, this platform can help teachers focus on their actual priorities. So that is basically teaching. Gabay also has Gabi. So it's a chatbot that can assist you to explore the platform. So you can access Gabay via the link provided as well. So Dr. Jim Wagstaff, the co-founder of Noodle Factory, shared just how wide the scope of AI-powered tools actually is. So from interconnectivity, integration to learning management systems for easier dissemination, and to assisting planning lesson plans themselves. So, and also he mentioned a lot about ethics and inclusion when it comes to the use of generative AI. And we also touched a little bit on the policies or policy recommendations, perhaps, for institutions regarding the use of generative AI in schools. So stay connected with Dr. Jim Wagstaff and ask questions about Noodle Factory via his LinkedIn. So the link is also provided. So you can also learn more about Noodle Factory via noodlefactory.ai. So as we near the conclusion of our webinar, I invite Dr. Juan Robertino Macalde, the manager of Simeo Initech's Learning Development and Management Office and officer in charge, to deliver the closing remarks.
Good afternoon, esteemed speakers, participants, friends, and colleagues. As we draw near to the conclusion of this enlightening webinar on exploring modern tools for AI-ED, I am filled with gratitude for the profound insights and discussions we have witnessed today. this event has been a testament to the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in education across Southeast Asia and beyond. Throughout today's sessions, we have delved into the remarkable innovations that AI brings to education. AI tools not only enrich teaching and learning experiences, but also pave the way for unprecedented levels of personalization and inclusivity in education. From adaptive learning platforms to AI-driven tutoring systems, these technologies empower educators to tailor learning experiences to the unique needs of each student, fostering a more engaging and effective educational journey. Looking ahead, it is clear that AI will continue to shape the future of education, driving advancements that will redefine how we teach and learn as we navigate the complexities and opportunities presented by AI. Let us remain steadfast in our commitment to ethical practices, ensuring that these technologies serve to enhance rather than replace the invaluable role of educators in nurturing young minds. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speakers, participants, and the organizing team for their unwavering dedication in making this event a resounding success. Let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration and innovation ignited today as we work together to harness the final potential of AI for the betterment of education. Thank you.
So, thank you, Dr. Robbie, for your inspiring closing remarks. As we wrap up, we kindly ask you to take a moment to scan the QR code displayed on your screen. This will lead you to our evaluation form where your feedback is invaluable in helping us improve future events. Remember, the evaluation form is only valid until 11:59 p.m. today. And as a thank you for completing the evaluation, you will be receiving e-certificates. So once again, we'd like to say our thanks to Mr. Jim Toscano and the Noodle Factory team for answering questions and inquiries as well as sharing their insights. Also, don't forget to stay connected with us, subscribe to Simyo Innotek's YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook, X, and TikTok for updates on our latest news and upcoming events. New publications are now available on our website, so our team will be posting the links on the comment section below. 2 new research reports from the Simyo Innotek Research Partnership Grant from Vietnam and the Philippines are also available. And with that, thank you for joining us today for Fostering the I in AI, exploring modern tools for AI in education. So we hope that you've gained a lot of valuable insights from today's discussions and presentations. Once again, this is Ivy. Thank you for joining us today and see you on our next webinar.
We have come with hope so bright. The million learners, voiceless we, they all thrive in the love of life and lifelong learning brings. Through the decades we face, we fall again on our way. We lead the change, we serve and grow. Ever the Southeast Asian way, a future